Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Mind Your Exam. So in this video we have to do the Python program to count the number of digits in an integer. So what is the logic behind it? How do we perform it? Let's get started. So whenever you are given a number, mainly an integer, the logic to count the digits is that you keep dividing that number by 10, and every time you divide by 10 you compute the quotient. Okay, so when you perform integer division of the given number by 10, you will get some quotient. As long as that quotient is non-zero, you keep incrementing or increasing the counter of the number of digits. Okay, so for example, if the number you have is 345, then 345 divided integer division by 10 will give you 34. 34 is not less than 0 or not equal to 0. Okay, so we have incremented the count of 1. Then 34 would be divided by 10. You will get the quotient as 3. Then again we have incremented the count by 1. In the next iteration of the loop, what you have to do, you will have to divide 3 by 10. Okay, and now also you will increment the counter of the digits by 2. But in the next iteration, the fourth iteration in this example, the value of number which was storing the quotient of updated integer division, then it will be 0. So here the for loop will break. Okay, but this logic will not work when the number entered by the user is 0 itself. Okay, so in that case we have put a separate condition that first you are asking the user for a number which you are converting from string to an integer data type, and then you are calling the function that you have written for counting the digits of that number. The function name is count digits right here, and the function definition first contains a count variable. The count variable is used to store the number of digits in the number that has been entered by the user. Okay, so if the value entered by the user is actually equal to 0, then we know that it has one digit, so we update the value of count to 1, and we do not go into the else portion because the if condition has evaluated to true, so only this part of the code will be executed. We will skip the entire else section and we will directly return the value of count. Since the number was 0, the count value has become 1, so the return value would be 1. So in this case, print will print out 1 as the answer. Now if there is a scenario when the number of digits are greater than 1 and the number is non-zero, okay, so let's take a single digit non-zero number. Again, let's assume that the number is 8. So count would be initially 0. This condition would become false because the number is 8, which is not equal to 0. So we will not go into the if condition. Then we will go into the else part. Here we will start the while loop. Why we will start the while loop? Because this condition, the while condition, is true. The number which is 8 in this example is greater than 0. So what we will do, we will perform integer division. 8 integer divided by 10 will give you a value of 0. Okay, so num will now have the value 0, but before again checking this value, the updated value of num, we are performing this increment of count variable. This is the most crucial statement because if you update num and do not increment the value of count before checking the updated value whether it is greater than 0 or not, then this code will not run properly. Okay, so now count is incremented, and in the second iteration when the condition is checked, num value is 0, so this condition becomes false and the return value of count is again 1. So for a 0 number and a non-zero single digit number, we have seen it. Now let's take an example of a 2-digit number and then we'll print how this function is performing. So say we have a number 23. Again, this condition would not be true. We will come to the else part, and here 23 is greater than 0. So we update the value of num. num now becomes 23 integer division 10, which gives you 2. So the new value of num is 2, but here we have incremented the value of count, because when we divided 23 by 10, we got remainder as 3. One digit we have been able to secure. So the remainder, as long as we are getting a remainder non-zero, then we are, and the question is also non-zero, then we are incrementing the value of count. Okay, so now the count has become 1 and the value of num is 2. In the second iteration of the loop, when this condition is checked, 2 is greater than 0, yes. So again we perform integer division. Now the value of num would be 2 integer division 10, which will give a value of 0. But here we are incrementing the count, so count will now become 2. Now in the next iteration, when the loop condition is checked, num has now become 0. So this condition becomes false and we directly come here, and the value of count, which is 2, is returned in the print statement. So let's execute. Let's first enter 0. So the number of digits is 1. Then if we enter a single digit non-zero number, then again the answer is 1. One digit is present in this number. Then if we enter a two-digit non-zero number, then the answer is 2, which is again correct. And if we execute, say, a number like 107, again the answer is correct. Or the last case, if we execute a number like 400, and the answer is correct. But I must tell you that there is a very shorter and quicker way of doing the same function. A single line functionality can be implemented. So say you have a number which is entered by the user. Since you are using the input function, you can directly take the number from the user and store it as a string. And then since you have the string, you can calculate the length of the string. Okay, and that will be your result. So let's execute this code and see if it is fulfilling our purpose. So let's say the number is 0. We are getting the correct answer. The number of digits in this number is 1. Then let's execute. Let's say our value is 44. Again, we have got the right answer, because 44 will be taken as a string in this num variable, because we are not performing explicit type conversion into the int data type. That is why we are able to perform or operate and calculate the length function on this. Now we are printing the number of digits. So let's take a last example. So let's take a number like 530, and again we are getting the right value. So this was all for today's video. Thank you for watching. Till we meet in the next video. Mind your exam.